Let me do this real quick. Let me just check some of the results on. I'm reloading it.
So
nothing has changed so far in the results. We're still at 50% for Sun Prairie for District 4, and David, you still continue to lead 360 to 240 over Russ Weed.
Yeah, so I wonder if that means, I mean, there's only 2 polling places, right, in District 4.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that means one is in and one is not.
You got 3 that aren't in.
Is that how you'd read that?
You got 3 that haven't reported yet.
3
precincts haven't reported yet.
But isn't the polling locations Focus and Community Center?
Yeah.
You're going to talk into that.
Was there another one? Focus in the Community Center?
No, there's only 2 precincts. There's only 2 polling places for District 4.
Even though there's 4 like
wards?
sub-wards.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think the big question is what's turnout going to be like, right? So there was 50% was in. I think there was a lot of differences from. I think it was the last time you ran, David. I think there was it 2,200, about 2,200 votes.
Mm-hmm.
But when
Faustina and Al.
that was only 1,100 because I think there was a presidential primary.
Yep. When I ran,
you ran. So I think that votes would turn out quite a bit from 22. So I don't expect 2,200 out of District 4.
You wondered who Tony was. This is why Tony has numbers.
This year, it'll be interesting to see. You know, I bet it's somewhere between 1,100 and 22.
Okay, but also the Faustina Al Guyot race was not necessarily a contested race, so people may not have been as plugged in with that. Al still, we were talking earlier. Al still got some votes in that race. It was kind of an Ice Burner Yang situation, but I don't know. I was talking earlier. You feel like enthusiasm's been there from your supporters. You have any gauge on turnout?
Well, I don't know how to gauge the turnout. I'm hoping that the turnout is good. Knocking on doors pumped me up because the last 3 weeks I was knocking on doors. It's been cold, but when you go there and I remember hanging on someone's door and knocked the door and I'm like, I heard the dog bark. I'm like, well, I guess no one's there, so I start walking away. She's like, hey, I'm like, hey, I'm voting for you. I was like, yes. So that's cool. So when you're going out actually talking to people and sharing my views and listening to them, that was the best part for me.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, that's the fun part. So when you're out there, you're cold, and then when someone is enthusiastic and they show support, it makes you feel like, okay, this is worth it. You know?
I've always said that you haven't really lived until you've knocked on a stranger's door and asked for their vote.
Yeah,
it's an intimidating experience, right, at first.
Well, I used to do it selling pest control, so.
Well, there you
go. So it wasn't so bad.
It was easier than that.
It was, yeah. This was real easy, way easier than that. So and then again, I keep joking around, but I'm from Baltimore, so people are way more like, get off my door. People are way more in your face than here. This is easy living.
I was going to ask. So I mean, has it been largely positive? Everybody you've talked to, I mean,
for the most part, it's been largely positive.
Yeah. Did you have anybody that kind of engaged you or pushed you like?
Nope.
Really like ask? I mean, I think they might be welcome, but then they want to ask some pointed questions and people that wanted to argue at all.
Nope. No pushback.
Oh, that's good.
I received no pushback. Nothing that no big challenges. I had some conversations where for a couple people that we just we didn't agree on everything.
Yeah.
But we still had great conversations to the point where it's like we need to talk again.
Sure.
So even though we were on 2 opposite sides, just like, I would like to talk to you again. I'm like, that'd be awesome. Let's do that.
Yeah. So we've been spending a lot of time with David Virgil here tonight. Russ Weed, your opponent. It's not. I don't think we have anything against Russ or.
No, we met with him this morning.
Okay. So I think I don't know what the equal time is now that the election's over. But we're going to kind of see how this shakes out. I don't want anybody to construe it that we're making I voted for you point blank. I'll be out front and honest. And
so why'd you vote for him? What was it about David that really got you to push that button?
I think
color that circle. I
think David's a different kind of voice, and if you're not watching on Facebook Live, this is a conversation we have not had as part of this race, and I think for good or for but you're a black man. And I think
what? You're a black man?
I don't think we talk enough
Yeah,
openly about
I've been
people.
trying to keep it under wraps, man. It's just-
People get uncomfortable and when they start talking about race. And I think that by having people like yourself on different platforms, on the city council meetings, having that voice is an important aspect of the conversation we need to be having about race in this country. Even though in the city, in this community, anywhere, even though the discussion and the issues haven't been about race, I think it's important to have that representation.
It is.
And that was, quite honestly, the top of my list, but also in general, just the different perspective that you bring. And I think we tend to agree on a lot of the issues and outlook and how we view what the role of city government is.
Thank you, thank you.
So,
thank you.
I nobody has really talked about the race aspect.
You know what?
And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it while we're sitting here.
That's a funny thing in this country where everyone is, and I get a kick out of it because sometimes you can see people a little nervous to say, I don't want to offend you. I'm like, just give it to me straight. You know, I'm fine. I mean, I've been through a lot, and I've dealt with it. So I'm not new to this.
As I've heard somebody say, you've been black your whole life.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. I think when representing people in the government, it's hard for you to represent me if you don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for you to represent me if you don't know my struggles, my pains, and what I got to go through. And that's just not being black. That's being Asian. That's being Hispanic. So when government is looking out for people, they should have someone close by that represent that people, so you know that you're truly helping those people. Because sometimes you go about it with an intention, and then even though your intentions are good, you hurt. You know, and I always give this example, like maybe if you height challenge and I pick up something off this shelf for you, but in the meantime, I'm doing you a favor, like, can you get that from the head? And I give it to you, and your face all scrunched up. I'm like, what's wrong with you? You stepped on my foot. I'm like, look, dude, I was doing you a favor. You're going to get an attitude about it. I'm not going to help you out no more. He's like, no, you stepped on my foot. I'm like, oh, me stepping in, that, I didn't do it on purpose, but does it stop your foot from hurting? Your foot's still going to hurt. Even though I did it by mistake, your foot's still going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, I need to, at that point in time, apologize and acknowledge what I did. So sometimes people in power or people in positions do things with good intentions, not knowing that they're causing more harm, and sometimes they do it without counsel. You think you're doing me a favor, and then that's not what I want. You know, I'm like, that's not even what I want. That's not even what I asked for. And you thought you did something good for me, and then when I complain about it, you make me feel like I'm acting ungrateful. You know, and that's not the case. You just never talked to me. So I think that's the difficult part about it, where we need to consult with each other and talk to each other.
Yep.
Hey, here's a quick update. Sun Prairie School Board with 69% of the votes in. Dinah McFarland is leading with 25.9% of the vote. Then you have LaToya Holiday at 21.5%, and Lisa Goldsberry and Steve Schroeder running neck and neck.
It looks close.
It's real close. I mean,
It's a tight one.
it's within about 30 different votes there. I mean, it's close, man. It's close.
And this
You told me that, and I got butterflies. I don't get butterflies at my own stuff, but I got butterflies at that.
Bill, this wouldn't
Goldsberry's awesome.
include the non-Sun Prairie districts, right?
No, it should. But I don't know that answer.
We don't know what's in
this
and what isn't.
This is from County of Dane.
Okay, it's the Dane County site.
Yep. And
Yeah,
so
that's good, yeah.
if we go to Alders, your numbers haven't changed at all.
I don't know. On the one hand, it's like you would think maybe the more rural, further out areas would be slower to report. On the other hand, their turnout was probably lower, just in raw numbers, not necessarily percentage. So maybe they got the results in quicker.
Yeah, can you view by precinct?
Here's
It's election night
Board,
coverage.
you-
We're in the speculation business. We don't know what we're talking about.
You got to check this out here.
Yeah.
Brent Eisenberger.
Look at this.
Eisenberger, 54% of the vote. He's got 98 votes. Angie Yang has 79 votes.
So that's
98 to 70. If she wins, this election, then it's going to be an appointment by Mayor Esser and approval by the city council.
So let's talk about that. Do you know Angie Yang at all, or Brent? Have you talked to either of those?
Well, I know Brent. I talked to Angie Yang briefly, but I never got a chance to formally meet her. No.
Sure. So just to again break it down, if you don't know, Angie was on the ballot. She filed her papers and was on the ballot, but had dropped out. Essentially, didn't pull her name off the ballot. You can't do that. But had announced publicly that she was not pursuing the office, and had just didn't appear at any of the forums or just didn't run. And so, but people could still vote for her as if she felt. I mean, I hopefully they understood that if she wins, gets more votes, that's up to the mayor to then vote, either call a special election, I think he can, or, which I doubt would happen, or appoint someone. So, she would essentially win and then immediately resign. And then, similar to when Bill Connors resigned in District 2,
right.
And Bob Jokic, Bill's opponent there, had
he was appointed.
He was appointed and then ran for re-election. Right. So that's a scenario we're watching tonight as a possibility to see if the fact that it's that close is kind of a surprise at this point. What were the numbers again? 55-45, basically?
Something like close to that. Here's the thing.
20 votes.
In Ward 25,
okay.
and I wish I knew which Ward 25 was. David, you carried it 120 to 62. In Ward 26, you carried 148-128. In Ward 27, you carried 92-50. But I don't even know.
22.
So you can actually, I didn't realize that. You can break it down by individual ward.
Precincts. Yeah, I'm pulling the map up now of Sun Prairie.
Yeah. They didn't.
Most people don't even know we have
show
wards.
Ward 22.
Ward 22.
That's actually the ward I'm in.
Ward 22 has no results yet.
Okay.
Yep.
So you are, and my wife would be able to speak to this better because she actually was working at the polls, but I just help people understand this. So you have 4 districts in the city of Sun Prairie.
Mm-hmm.
Within those districts, there are how many wards? Voting wards? 4 apiece? Is it not consistent?
No. No. Let's go over here.
So
So right now, in where he is, wards 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Those are his polling precincts.
All right. So 22 hasn't reported yet.
Nope.
22 and 23 are west of Grand. So this is Meadowview.
So is it past Cabela's? No, that would be Madison.
No, west of Grand. So this is like out by Gus's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Gus is going.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Right.
Yeah.
West of Grand and a small sliver near Menard. So it's so 24 is pretty empty. We're not going to see many votes coming out of 24. 22 and 23 are the areas behind Gus's south of 19.
And that hasn't been reported yet.
Correct.
So we'll get those shortly.
Interesting.
I
It's
know,
kind of
right?
fun, man.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's kind of cool.
It's driving me crazy.
There you go. So let's shift gears and talk about the school board race. So we've got 5 candidates running, 3 open seats. Tony, what was your impression of kind of how that played out? What are your impressions of the results here so far?
Yeah, so as I mentioned on your show,
Yeah.
Andy, I was
Roundabout Sun Prairie, which check the local listings.
I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Being there with Terry, it was a good time. I thought overall, LaToya Holiday was the most energetic. I thought she was the most issue-based. She was there for a reason, and it was clear. So I appreciated that. I thought the rest of the candidates kind of fell back on the same talk track. Being pro-student, pro-teacher, pro-administration.
Yeah.
I think they all bring something different to the table. I think any of the 5 would be strong candidates. I think Steve Schrader, who's the incumbent, the one incumbent of the race, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got the most knowledge of just the inner workings of school funding, all of the issues in the schools right now, the complexities of the situation and so many of the problems they're dealing with now. So I think he's a solid choice.
According to the numbers right now, Steve he's an odd man out. He's in 4th running right now. So obviously we got to wait for all the numbers to come in, and I don't want to start predicting things. We're just reporting.
Yeah, that's right.
He is running in 4th right now. So
And I think
that's kind of interesting.
The other observation that I had from that night was that Elmer was the only candidate that really talked about financials and concern with the budget and how we're going to pay for the spending.
So Steve Schroeder he's out by 31 votes.
That's the thing. He's running in 4th, but
Is
it's
it- is
31.
all districts
It's
in?
31
No,
votes.
not yet. So for me,
The raw vote totals are so small that they could easily swing.
So for me, what I chose, and I have no problem talking about it now, was Steve Schrader. I liked what he has done in the way of building the equity program that they did. I liked the way he manages the school board and controlling that group. And when I say controlling, pulling it together. I thought Stephen Elmer was going to be a great financial piece because we need that. Everybody complains about taxes and money and all that. And initially, LaToya was my choice. Then I learned that she has 3 kids that are in private school. I don't think you can be a good candidate when you got 3 kids in private school. How are you going to be a public school spokesperson when you have 3 kids in private school? But at Spark, when we were sitting at Spark, Diana was the first one to talk about the kids. And so those were my choice. So I changed it to Steve, Stephen, and Diana.
So
LaToya had me, man.
Well, I tell you this.
And Lisa's got the biggest heart of all of them.
Yes. I'm a fan of Lisa. I'm a fan of LaToya. I'm a fan of Diane. I'm going to tell you this. Coming up, man, when we struggle, we always want to give ours better than what we had because a lot of times we don't have much. And sometimes when we see a system or something that's failing us, sometimes we got to do what's best for ours. So I understand your point of view when you say they're in private school, but if she feels as though, hold up, listen, if she feels as though public school is failing our children, why would she put her own kids in a failing system? But I commend her for running because she said, you know what, it's broken. Maybe I need to get in and fix it.
Yeah.
Then that could change her outlook, and maybe her kids would go to public schools. So it's a lot of different ways to look at that. So you really, really got to understand where someone is coming from and why. So a lot of times people do that prejudgment, but you got to understand that you're not going to put your kid or yourself in a dangerous situation or something that's not working to your advantage. You're not going to do that.
When was the last time you heard of a gun being brought to Edgewood High School? When was the last time you heard about a fight or police being called to Abundant Life? When was the that's the difference. I mean, and I'm talking about those are worst case scenarios, David, and that's probably not fair.
I feel you,
but
but
those
I
teachers,
wasn't even talking in that aspect.
But you know what I'm saying, though?
I know what you're saying, but I'm
because
talking
we
about,
got problems with that.
I'm talking. Okay, I'm talking about on the educational aspect of it.
Well,
because
okay.
coming up in public schools, I was failed.
Yeah.
They failed me. I mean, I passed, but the educational system failed me.
Yeah.
As a black person in America, it failed me. It took me to be an adult and see a movie. I'm like, oh, 3 black women help a man get to the moon? Wow.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie, but I should have learned that in my school system.
Yeah, I hear you.
And my school system didn't teach me that.
Yeah.
About my people.
I think
So
at the forum,
you really got to look at that.
I hear. I think that's a good point. I think from the forum there was a lot of discussion over what's the board's role versus the administrator's
Yeah, there
role,
was.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of this can link in here, right? She's got a ton of experience at the state level
She
with
does.
state DPI, 2 different administrations, so she knows in an intimate way the inner workings of the funding system for school districts, the problems, not just in this school district, but she probably sees a diverse set of problems across the state. So I think that she brings a very unique voice to the table. I do think that the private school thing is interesting, but if she's
It never
not-
came up, by the way.
But if
It was never out in the public about that.
Yeah,
it was
I mean,
never made an issue by any
I didn't know about it.
I had
of the 4 candidates.
I'm glad about that.
Well,
But
you know what?
if she's going to be on the school board, and if that is kind of more kind of elevated above the administrators, which kind of handles the day-to-day on the problems I think that you're talking about, I
Right.
think you can argue that there is some separation.
Well, and I think you just like you, I wouldn't necessarily disqualify a really smart, capable candidate who has kids in private school. I wouldn't discount, we have board members who don't have any kids in the school, and so they're taxpayers too, and they deserve a say in how and that.
But they have had kids in the district.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe they're. No, I'm just saying I wouldn't disqualify somebody based on that, whether they have kids or had kids or private school or all that. Based on that, I think it's certainly a factor, and it's not something I was aware of, Bill. But that there is that disconnect between. I think there's a segment of people, and they tend to be Democratic public school supporters, who are anti-vouchers, anti-private schools, because they want to keep that money in the public school system. And I think for people like that David's talking about, where they feel like the system doesn't work for them, they want and need alternatives. And that's an ongoing debate we're going to continue having, right?
All right, we need to take a second here. You're listening to 103.5 WLSP, The Sun, right here in beautiful Sun Prairie. Bill Baker here with Andy Schoenherr, and we are bringing you the post-election discussion and results as they roll in. We have them hot off the press, or as fast as they come across the internet. We're waiting for a direct text. We have the special hotline for all the results right now. And if you have questions, we are on Facebook Live right now. And also, you're more than welcome to call 608-825-0930. You're welcome to get into this discussion. Have a good conversation, as long as it's polite, courteous, and professional. We will take your calls. But you're also welcome to go on to Facebook Live, either through the Sun Prairie Media Center. You can go to Baker William J. You can find it there and put your comments or questions there, which I don't see any right now, but you're welcome to do that.
So I got an email.
Okay, good.
It doesn't have any results in it, but it is from our friend Bill Connors, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. He did want to just chime in. There are approximately 6 wards per district and 3 wards per polling place, just for that. And then his take, he thought, and I want to talk about this a little bit. So he thought Stephen Elmer was going to get through on bullet voting, this bullet voting concept by conservative voters. I think
What's bullet voting?
So I think it's this concept. We'll come back to that. So Bill's sort of surprised that Stephen's not doing better, and he also did not know that Latoya has kids in private schools. So
I wish
that
would have come up at the forum. I wish it would have come out earlier, and she would have had a chance to address it. I think.
Yeah.
But it's a class group of people. I mean, maybe that's the trash stuff that we don't need in politics.
You mean the thing you just brought up 5 minutes ago?
But the election's over.
I think if she would, it would be interesting to hear how she responded to that. I would be confident that she would have a clear, rational, articulate answer for that.
Well, the other thing is her separation from DPI. All of a sudden, her job was gone.
Well,
this was discussions that could have happened before the election. Now it's over. I mean, it's okay.
Right.
We can talk about it.
But one thing I noticed.
She's also a Bears fan, which was public.
I was just going to say.
And I didn't hold that against her either.
You know what I noticed?
Go ahead.
When I listen to people talk, and I see when I listened to them run for office, I thought they were amazing. It was very hard to go on after them and talk. I was like, wow, they are sharp. But I think most of your outspoken people aren't from here, right? She comes from Chicago, right? Goldsboro, Chicago. I'm from Baltimore. We come from a different struggle. We come from a system where school has failed us, where they took things out of school. Baltimore students was in schools with jackets and coats with no heat. So when you see a public system that fails and you saying she got the inside scoop, yeah, I'm not going to put myself in the situation or my kids in the situation for something that's not going to benefit them. I got to give my kids the best shot possible. But equally, let me finish. Equally, she is running for school board to make a difference. So that's a big thing. I can't stop harping on it. And also what she brings is something that everybody else doesn't know. How public school systems fail on a big city level. Some pride is growing. Right? So as it grows, we can get ahead of some of those issues beforehand.
Billy Connors wants us to know, and thanks, Bill. I want to compliment Bill. Like I said, I've said many times, this guy was my alder. And when he was my alder and he got attacked, I defended the guy. I don't always agree with him, and he is a fire starter, but you gotta love the guy because he loves the city of Sun Prairie. He's on top of it. He communicates more than all of our city council combined.
No doubt.
He really does. Now, like I said, he's a fire starter. He calls me a blowhard. And I call him fire starter. I'm his blowhard, so that's okay. What he said was bullet voting is when voters do not use all their votes. In this case, voters might vote for Stephen Elmer and not use the other 2 votes. They would not use the other 2 votes for fear that would help someone else get ahead of Stephen.
So I
Wow.
really had a hard time wrapping my head around this, and literally
That's
driving to the polling place trying to figure out what I was going to do. But you could vote for 3 people for school board. But I think, and I'll give Tracy Frank some credit, when she and Lisa put this petition together, it was part of how they, what they saw as this sort of strategic voting. And so if I have 3 votes, how does not using all 3 of those for candidates that I like, how is that bad in any way? And that was ultimately why I voted for 3. But if there were 2 of those candidates that I really liked, right, and that 3rd person was kind of on the bubble to getting in, and my 3rd vote got them over the hump into the top 3 spots and knocked out one of the 2 that I really liked, then I would have been doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So it's complicated, and I think that the thought process was it's tended to lean towards, as Bill would say, and if the results, towards the conservative side of things. They've put all their eggs in one basket. It's not like you give 3 votes to one person. They've said, there's one person I like, I'm going to vote for just them, and I'm not going to help anybody else in the race. I think that's a wrong way to look at it.
Yeah.
And it hasn't helped so far Stephen Elmer tonight, if that's the way, Bill's sort of handicapping it. We've got a lot of support spread across what I would call I get nervous about calling people progressive or conservative
me too.
or Democrat or Republican, but I think Stephen definitely leaned on more of the conservative side of things. I think the other candidates were more on the progressive side of things, and they're the ones seeing more broad-based support so far tonight. So that's kind of my take on it.
That's just too complicated for elections.
It really is.
The average
It really
Joe,
is.
I mean, so now we want you to vote for this one, but don't vote. We just want you to put 1 vote. Don't vote for 3. Oh my gosh! I mean, we're lucky that they come to the polls to begin with.
But if I don't know the names or the races, I won't vote for them. So if for instance, I was there to vote for 1 or 2, and then I got there and I saw that I had 3, I wouldn't vote for a stranger. I wouldn't. Like sometimes if there's a race, like just an obscure race, a circuit judge race that I hadn't been paying attention to, I won't.
Do you vote for the?
And if there's only one person, I won't vote unless I'm like explicitly supporting that person. I won't check the box.
Sure. I mean, you feel like you're giving them, it's a privilege that they've earned your vote. So do you vote in the unopposed races?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. I like checking the boxes, even though I know it doesn't matter.
I'm saying,
well, here's what I want to say about that is because they stepped up and they raised their hand and said, I will do this.
Yeah.
And somebody else didn't. I mean, I was talking to David about this before you guys got here, was that I was disappointed that we didn't have a contender, an opponent in District 1 and District 3. I mean, Steve Stalker's a great guy, Maureen Crombie, awesome. But where are our people? Come on, step up.
Okay, so here's what I wanted to say about that is, and can you look up a result? We'll get some more results in a second. David, I want to bring you too on what your thoughts are. So what I was kind of hearing is that I've been saying for a while, people are generally not hungry for change in Sun Prairie. Paul Esser hasn't run a contested election at the top.
Last two times.
We had 2 unopposed city council races. We did not have a ton of people stepping up in District 4, let's be honest. It took a while to sort of get candidates there. But in the school board, and I think some of this has played out nationally, people have seen the schools as where they want to see, they're hungrier for change at the school level. And I think Steve Schrader's running behind, he's the only incumbent, that it seems like there's more interest in people changing things. At the city level, people seem to be more satisfied, more content than they are with the schools.
Yeah, I think that's a function of how well it's working, right? I think in general, I think people feel the city of Sun Prairie is working well. I think the services are strong. I think the investment is strong. Investment today, I think the investment in the future is pretty strong. The overall tax burden is pretty tame. I think, as much as people complain about the city taxes going up and up and up, that's false, right? It goes up 1% to 2% per year. The taxes go up in general, but it's the school side where the tax increases are.
Went down this last time.
This last time, but over the last 4 years,
Yeah.
right? Driven by the referendum.
Yep.
And so I think the tax burden coming from the school district,
which a majority of people voted for
would
the
feel-
referendum.
This is true.
Forget about that.
Majority.
but 40% did, and that gets to be a heated topic.
Yeah.
So I think you get a lot of people that are upset about the increase in taxes, right or wrong. And I think in the school districts, there are more problems that you can point to. So people see that as being a place where there is a need for change.
Yeah. Did you get an impression talking to people, and is it anytime you're in an election, people want to know what you're going to change, and it's about reforming things. But general vibe, even just around the city, is it we want to kind of keep things the same, or we need really? Are you coming in, if you win this election, are you coming in, besides the stoplight at the school, are you trying to come in, making major changes, or are you coming in saying, how can we kind of keep things
There she
rolling?
is.
Hey, Diana McFarland's here.
Diana McFarland's coming in here. Get in here.
I'm not coming in to make major changes because I really believe that my job is to work for my citizens.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I wouldn't come in saying I want to make these drastic changes.
No, you're good.
No, go ahead.
After you're finished, we're going to switch seats.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to make these drastic changes, but I don't see like he said, I don't see an outpour of change, only with certain things, and I think it's kind of dangerous because you get complacent and then you get blindsided by problems. So I don't think any opponent should run unopposed. I just don't. That means that we got work to do. That means when we look at our turnouts and stuff like that, that means a lot of people aren't informed, and a lot of people don't understand the seriousness of voting locally. And that's where the rubber meets the road. So we need to find creative ways to get people more involved, get people more involved in the process. So even if they run and to keep things the same, I think we need bright ideas because things are changing way more rapidly now than it has ever in the whole history of man.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So we need people that are on top of it, involved, and we got some smart people here. I mean, I talked to people been blowing my mind. I'm like, why you ain't running? Like, God dang.
So
David, I love your message of inclusion and bringing people to the table. So I just want to personally thank you for running, and I wish you the best.
Thank you.
David Virgil, candidate for District 4, currently in the lead still, 360 to 240.
Hasn't changed.
We've been stuck there for a while, but we'll see how that plays out.
Let's
Thank you so much for your time,
No, thank
David.
y'all,
I don't want to
thank
take any
y'all.
more.
I kept
I want
the
you
seat
to
warm
go
for
home
you.
and you can either, I guess you'll either be cracking the bubbly or crying in your beer later. But
And we are expecting an invite to the victory party that you
We'll
Tasha's going to plan,
talk
buddy.
about that. We'll
All
talk
right.
about it. She's calling me now.
Yeah.
All right,
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here.
All right.
Yeah, definitely
have to
will.
find
Definitely will.
ourselves.
Thank y'all.
But thanks
You're
for being
welcome,
here,
Dave.
David. Appreciate it.
Hey, now, so that's an interesting conversation, guys. I mean, as we switch seats and we bring in Diana McFarland.
Yes, Diana McFarland was kind enough to stop by today.
And so I'm surprised at some of the results already. I honestly didn't know that Diana would be leading the way she is. I mean, she's smoking right now.
Killing it.
Diana McFarland's going to be joining us here, and she's one of the school board members. She's got 25
School board candidates. So
board candidates. I'm sorry.
Point
Yes,
of
you're right.
contention.
And you know how to work that microphone, right? Lean into it, talk to it, and all. Pull it. You can grab it and pull it. Come on, girl. Get into it. Here.
Better?
There you go.
I love how she just I tell her, grab it. She goes, no, I'm just going to touch it like this. It's okay.
Grab your 10-year-old by the ears.
So you may not know, but right now you are leading all school board candidates with 25% of the vote, 2,650 votes. The next closest is 1933, and that's 2134, and that's LaToya Holiday. And then the next one is...
So LaToya's in second?
LaToya's in second. And
Currently.
Lisa Goldsberry's at 1957. Her and Steve Schroeder. Steve keeps sneaking up a little bit, and he's 24 votes behind her.
And how many precincts reporting?
We have 29 of 39, 74% of the precincts have
Okay.
reported.
So you got a ways
Do
to
we
go.
have, do we have
ways to
detail
go.
by precinct?
Yeah, of course we do.
See, this Tony,
Duh.
he's like Kornacki over there. He's going to have
The guy in the khakis?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the whiteboard.
Got your
But
ass.
Diane, thank you for being here. Thank you for dropping by. I don't know if
No.
you plan to do this or you just
Oh, no.
impromptu decided to show up. We're happy to have you. Thank you for
We're
being
chatting back and forth, texting on this. She was at a meeting, and so was a school board or school SEO or something like that? Or?
Figure skating club.
Well, see, there you
I'm
have
on
it.
I'm on the board for my daughter's figure skating club, and tonight was our monthly meeting. So
I can't cancel
I
that
do
just because it's election night.
No, of course not.
You got to
We
pull
have
that
work
mic
to do.
towards you, because people want to hear you.
So again,
Uh-oh.
of the 5 candidates, you currently have the most vote of what's coming in. How do you feel about the fact that 2,400 plus people went into their polling location and said, "I'm voting for Diana"?
Floored,
Yeah.
floored, honored, grateful. Yeah, no, it's exciting. I didn't even know if I'd have a chance. So this is new adventure.
So yeah, so I
She's smoking.
yeah. So
She's smoking.
Tony's breaking down the numbers, but I wanted to get your sense of, as you in the sort of last few days or people talking, we were talking about this sort of bullet voting versus voting concept. Did you get into those sort of discussions as to whether were people voting for just you or were they voting for 3 people and you were one of 3 of the people you talked to? What did it look like?
I honestly feel like I don't know how many people would have voted only for me because I'm so in the middle. I don't know. I think
You're so in the middle.
I'm very we have a polarized society in a lot of ways right now, right? And I'm in the middle. So if anyone is sitting on a poll, they probably had a candidate that fit their message closer than I did, but I probably was your second choice.
You had an extremely impressive endorsement list.
Right? I got a lot of great support. Yeah, I really appreciated that. The teachers and the labor union and a lot of the current board and yeah.
What got me,
members.
Tony, what got me was, I was kind of saying this before, we're sitting at the Spark meeting, and all of a sudden Diana starts out with, "It's about the kids." And I'm like, whoa, she's the only candidate that had immediately led with, "It's about the kids." And then she went into, "And it's about our teachers." And I'm sitting here, wow, she gets this. She gets it. And there are other points that people were using, and they kept going back to it. But you stayed on that subject of kids and teachers. How are we going to take care of the kids? How are we going to do that? But also, how are we going to protect the teachers? How are we going to keep our teachers? How are we going to keep teachers into Sun Prairie, and at least offer them the freedom to have that? I wish I had a quote in front of me because it was a good one. I wrote it down. I left it on my desk. But you were talking about the curriculum, but you wanted them to have the freedom to be able to share that curriculum the way they wanted to share it.
Right. So you need consistency, but then you need freedom to put yourself into it. Teachers don't want to be robots, and kids don't want to be taught by robots, right? You need to connect on a person-to-person level in the classroom. So yeah.
So what was your biggest challenge in this campaign? I love asking that question.
Getting over my introvert nature to go talk to people or talk about myself. I think the part with the forums that I had the hardest time with was the opening and the closing, right?
Oh, really?
When they're saying, "Tell me all about yourself."
Brag about yourself.
Oh, that's not my comfort zone, right? But then talk to me about issues. I've got plenty of opinions. Everybody who knows me knows I've got opinions on things, just not talking about myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to come back to the endorsement thing and kind of being in the middle, because it's so hard. We were talking earlier, these forums, people tend to be kind of blasé, and they all have kind of the same thing. Well, I want to be an advocate for parents, or I'm pro kid, how you prioritize it, I think, is what, is it the first thing you talk about? When I had you on my show, it's like you talk and you tell me what you want to talk about, but everybody kind of is consistently, and so it's hard to get to know people. But when you see there is some of that guilt, or you win by association, and so those endorsements kind of make people feel safe. That okay, if this person is good with this person, then I can be good at them too. And I didn't know kind of how some of those endorsements came about, or kind of what the reaction you had, to them. Was it mostly positive, or, that was something I think you kind of highlighted.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my name is known in the little circle that I'm a part of, right? So people at Royal Oaks, where I've been for the last 6 years, or people who had kids at Horizon 10 years ago, they know me. But other than that, my goal was to try to get my name out in as many places as I could, and having that endorsement behind me is, there's a link, right? Like, I have that link to that person. Oh yeah, I can relate on a teacher level, or I can relate on a labor union level, or I know that person. I know Bill Connors, I know Kristen Morris, and if they're saying, that they support her, then that's, because I've never been one to put my face and name out there on purpose.
Yeah, there's nothing like a referral.
No.
It's a golden lead.
Yeah.
So of the things that the school board can control, right? Because there are a lot of things that the administration controls and that you don't have anything. Of the things that the school board can control, what if the results hold and you're sitting in those meetings, what are you going to want to talk about and try to really drive in terms of priorities?
Reframing our goals. Right, reset our goals. We have policies. We got that new governance model right back in 2016 or so.
Okay.
And all these policies were written, and it was a good step. It just hasn't been looked at again, so it's not to anyone's fault, but like, it's time for a refresh, right? We're doing our big strategic plan. We're opening a new high school. We've opened new elementary schools. Our district has changed a lot since 2016. So let's look at where are we now, and where do we want to head? Where is our community pointed? And I think it's just time to look at it again.
So was there any one issue when you thought about running for school board? For a lot of people, it's like there's something in their craw, and it's like, this is the one issue I want to attack, because this really epitomizes what's wrong with the school district right now, and this is the one thing I want to change. Did you have that? Did you have one of those issues where you really are like trying to get after it and fix one specific core problem?
I think that's one difference, is I didn't come in saying our district is broken and this is all wrong and we need to flip 180 degrees, right? I think we've got a great school district, right? We just have things we could get better at. And my main goal in running was I wanted more parents on the board. And then as it turned out, all 5 candidates have kids.
Mm-hmm.
So that became kind of a moot issue, right? But I thought having involved parents on the school board, because you need the grassroots connection to the school, which I feel like some of the current board members had just aged out of that place in their life, right? Where their kids were in the schools, where you're going to the fall festivals, where you're going to the music concerts, where you're hearing what other parents are talking about because that's your circle, right? And I just felt like we needed more of that back in place.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
We were, as these conversations get awkward, and I think we should not be as awkward as we are sometimes, or uncomfortable. But David Virgil was here for a long time. Bill talked to him, and we brought up the topic of race and discussed it. And when this petition came out, I think some of that line sort of divided along race, and there was this general feeling. I think, quite frankly, the reason Lisa Goldsberry and LaToya Holiday are in the race is because they wanted to feel like they had more of that representation, and I think that is something we're going to continue to have as a conversation. And we have 3 white guys and a white lady sitting here talking about race, but I think that's okay. And I wanted to just what are your thoughts in terms of bringing in that inclusion and diversity and having those? What part do you play in that, and your thoughts on it?
Being accepting and open and listening, right? Being approachable, being ready to hear other points of view, right? I have my point of view that I'm comfortable with, that I've lived with my whole life, but part of being on the board then is you're one of 7 voices in the entire community meant to represent the entire community. And we have a very diverse community, all different colors, right? We have all different races, right? And even if LaToya and Lisa both make it on the board, we don't have anyone of Hispanic descent. We don't have
Hmong.
Right? We don't have anybody of Asian descent. We don't have, we're still missing a lot of pieces. So no matter who's on the board, you can't come to it just from your own background. You have to come to it with a mind open and an ear ready to listen and ready to make sure that all kids are being represented and all families are being represented. I didn't talk about it a lot, but I always wear this necklace it's a sign language for love, right? So my grandpa was deaf, my grandma was sign language interpreter, right? So there's all kinds of diversity, right? My mom is in a wheelchair. I grew up with a mom who had a physical disability, and it changed the way our family functioned, right? So there's all kinds of diversity in our community, color, and all sorts of other issues that need to be remembered when we're making decisions.
You know, we were talking earlier. There's a lot of things that could have been discussed during the campaign. The uglies, we'll call it the uglies, that didn't come out, and I was pretty proud of our candidates, both from city council or from school board.
I was too. I mean, I've talked about it before. You see these videos of school board meetings in God knows where, and people losing their damn minds, talking about I'll like this critical race theory thing that everybody is just all wrapped up in, and everything has become under this insane umbrella that we are not having those types of debates in Sun Prairie. And so I think we ought to pat ourselves on the back about that and realize that we're dealing with facts and sort of reality, and we're having real discussions and not some sort of fake manufactured controversy. So we should think about that sometimes too. So, well, I wanted to actually try to call some of these other candidates. I know I'd hoped to have results. But Diana's here.
Challenge.
Diana's here. She showed up, and so I appreciate being here.
I'm happy to go home to my kids if you want to talk to other people.
I was going to say I'll give you the last word before you have to take off. But is there anything else you want to say?
Here's a quick plug. Hugh Cha, who ran for city council, he just made a comment. He said there's definitely a different energy this year, calmer for sure.
Oh,
yeah,
that might have something to do with what's going on nationally too, but that's good to hear.
I think it's the Sun Prairie way. We're going to take credit for it. I mean, this is the way we interact as a community.
Yeah.
It's calmer. I mean, we interact, we care about each other. The respect.
It's kind of old school.
Well, isn't it?
You know what I mean? It's like pre.
How about the new way? It's the Sun Prairie way.
Right.
Let's call it that.
It's taking the old and putting
I'm an old guy.
A spin on it.
But we don't want to do it the old way.
So was his comment relative to prior Sun Prairie elections?
Well, some of the Sun Prairie elections in the past have been very heated. Oh, yeah, big time.
doubt.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, Hugh ran in one of those.
He did. But it was still polite. I mean...
It always seems hotter when you're in the race, I would imagine. That you take every little slight on Facebook that you see, it's tough to let that stuff roll off, right. I would imagine.
But I liked how, even Bob Yokish, when he and I ran, I mean, he and I, it was a very polite and courteous campaign, and we did not attack each other personally, which you see nationally. And back then, it was the Trumpsters and everything and all that going on. So it was the swamp or the quagmire, whatever it was. But this year, for our school board, they could have gotten that way, and we talked about an issue already that never came out. I knew about it over a month ago. I know other people that knew about it over a month ago. It never came out. Maybe it should have. I don't know. But I like what David said about it. But
so, and last and then we'll let you go home to your kids. Is I think we always ask a lot of our candidates and our elected officials, what should our elected officials expect from us? How can we be more involved and be more positive and proactive instead of just going to the echo chamber of Facebook and just yelling at people that agree with us?
I would say give us a chance to listen before you get upset about things, right? I mean, so it's actually something I put, if you scroll way back on my own personal Facebook feed, I offered a challenge to the community a year or two ago saying, can you say something good? Send an encouraging message. I went and I sent a nice message to Mr. Ackley, right, like my kid's principal. And I sent a nice message to my kids' teachers just offering encouragement. And I sent a nice message to Brad Sarin. And Brad Sarin actually personally called me back and said how floored he was when he got a message that was kind. Because people reach out, and I'm guilty of it too, even with my alders, right? You reach out when you're upset about something. You reach out when you're already mad, when you're already frustrated, and I get it. But give us a chance. Like, give people a chance to hear you first. Reach out, have coffee. Reach out, have a meeting. Say, I have a question, right? I want more information, because maybe I don't have all the information that you had when you were making that decision. So give it a chance before getting angry. Because I appreciate how positive this has all been. I got so much encouragement, and I've been
You mean, are you
warned.
talking about just tonight since you've been here?
Well, yes,
Or-
absolutely. Tonight.
Are we that charming?
We're good.
Tonight, but
Damn, we're good.
the whole process, I've gotten so much encouraged.
That's
I was
awesome.
so scared, right? I
Yeah.
was very nervous, and I got just all this positivity flooding at me, and I've been warned along the whole process. Now, if you make it in, expect that to turn a 180, and it's all going to be negative comments
Sure.
from here on out. So I would just ask to try to keep that feeling going, right? We all have the same goal of supporting our kids and having great schools, so let's keep it going.
And you know, the other thing is, things don't change overnight. You got to give it time. You got to let it grow. You can't just plant corn and expect it to pick corn the next day. You got to let it grow. Let it grow. And let the school board, the new members come in. If it goes the way it is right now, you're going to have a new school board president.
Right? If it goes the way it is. So, yeah. We'll reset. I want to it's going to get late. I want to talk to some other folks. But thank you, Diana McFarland, for
Thank
being
you.
here. We'll let you get home to your kids.
Awesome.
Thanks,
And
Diana.
Have a
appreciate
great
it.
night.
Yeah, so you're listening to a special edition of What Are We Building? I normally do a radio show and podcast, but I asked Bill to be here, Bill Baker, and I asked Tony Clemmy, a good friend of mine, to come in and help us out. We wanted to talk about the local election. We don't have final results yet, but you're listening to 103.5 FM The Sun, and we're going to give you just a quick rundown. We're going to reset the numbers on the city council election in District 4 between David Virgil and Russ Weave. What are the numbers? I can't see the screen. I'm in the seat that can't see the computer screen. What are those numbers, Bill?
Do you mind if I add a comment for Diana as she was just leaving?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's
Go ahead.
okay. Bill Connor says, Diana McFarland, yes, Diana McFarland, if people think the school district or city government is doing something stupid, please ask the question before criticizing. So I say, stay in
advice.
curiosity, seek to understand. You know, that's
These are thankless jobs.
They are.
Right? and the people aren't doing it for the money. And we need good people in these spots to lead us, lead our schools, lead our city, lead our county, and school board especially. There's always people pissed off.
I know.
Always.
That's
Always.
the thing. If you're coming to them with a complaint, you're the 15th complaint they've heard
Yeah,
that day or that
exactly.
week.
Yeah.
And it's tough for them to continue to give everything priority, although they do whenever they can. That's the job.
Yeah.
But you are not that special. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
just
It is-
come at it with some humility.
School board is
and
the
listen.
most. It's the most thankless job, but it's the most complex of all of the problems.
I think it is.
Right.
There's
With
no
all
way
of
I
the
would
pro-
run for
with
that.
all of the right with all the problems in the schools, with how you're handcuffed by state law and state legislation. There's only
Finances.
so much you can do. It's a thankless job, and I wish Diana the best.
I do. So right now we have Diana McFarland. She's leading, and is followed by LaToya Holliday and Lisa Goldsberry, with a very tight race between Lisa and Steve Schroeder. About 3.
Can I? I'm sorry. I'm just a stickler. I believe it's Steve Schrader, and
It is
we've been
Schrader.
saying it's Schroeder all night.
No,
and
no,
I'm
it is
just like,
Schrader.
I can't take it anymore. I got to correct Bill. So it's Steve
No,
Schrader.
that is Schrader.
Okay, but so
he and I have
give
the
us
same.
give us the percentages real quick.
Oh my gosh, 25.7 for Diana McFarland. You've got LaToya Holliday, 20.7. You have Lisa Goldsberry at 19 even, and you have Steve Schrader
Thank you.
at 18.7.
And Stefan Elmer.
He has got 15.4.
Okay, and how many precincts? What are the precincts reporting?
We have 30 of 39, 76% of everyone is voted on it. Steve Schrader and I have this thing about this because during
I was doing it too, I
I
can't
know,
honest, sure.
and I said, Steve, I've known you forever. Is Schrader? Have I been saying it wrong? Is it Schroeder? He goes, no, it's Schrader. So now every time I see him, I say, hey, Steve Schroeder, how are you?
Okay, good. At least you guys are understanding there. So
Okay.
then can we go to the city council quick?
City
So I think back up just quickly on the
Yeah,
school
sorry.
board race. I think that it's districts or it's wards 12, 13, 11, 12, and 13 were still out. Is that right, Bill?
10, 11, 12, 11, 12, and 13, correct.
11, 12, and 13. So that's north of St. Albert the Great
Right.
Okay.
for the most
Do
part.
you want Brent to call in here, or?
Yeah, we can talk to Brent.
Hey, Brent, you're on Facebook right now. Why don't you give us a call, 608-825-0930. And if you don't call, I'll call you if I can figure out how to do it again.
My wife is home. All's good. The house didn't burn down with my children
good.
inside, so that's good.
Good.
In case anyone was following that saga tonight this
I
evening.
left with my 10-year-old son listening to his transistor radio.
Transistor radio.
It's a little, I mean, it wasn't FM radio. From his bed on his pillow, waiting to hear his dad's voice.
There you go.
Oh my God.
Oh, there you go.
That is cute.
So we have a few listeners.
Not on his phone, not on his iPad.
No, it's old school.
He's old school. I love it.
Yeah, we got him
radio.
We got him an FM radio for Christmas one year, and now he in the morning because we don't want him on a screen so much.
Yeah.
He listens to like the talk shows
I love
and all the morning.
Listen to Bill Baker.
Monday mornings, come on. I'll actually get him on the show. That'd be great.
Okay, so we got word out. We put the bat signal out to Brent. If you want to give him a call, can we call out?
Yeah.
Can we do that? You want to give that a try?
Sometimes it doesn't work. I'll let you guys talk while I try to. Do you know? Who do you want to talk to?
I'm sorry. Have the numbers moved on District 4?
No.
Okay, we're still
We're at 50% still.
360 to 240. So David Virgil leading.
Elena, call us.
And then there were no contested county races to speak
No.
of, right? That we.
Nope. Annalise won.
Okay.
Brenda Yang is winning also. And there's one more.
What were the numbers in District 2?
District 2. Yeah,
Same, unchanged.
yeah, Brent, that blows me away. 54% to 41%.
With few votes in, so those are the same
Right.
11 wards, 11, 12,
Yeah.
and 13.
So I'm gonna see if I don't know if Latoya Holiday's listening. She's currently running in second place.
Okay.
We've talked about Latoya a little bit tonight, so I did mention I might give her a call along with some of the other candidates. So we'll give that a shot. But yeah, so the numbers on Brent Iceburner and Angie Yang are kind of surprising. But again, I think I'm loath to sort of put people in these Republican Democratic boxes. But I think if you ask Brent, he would say, yeah, he's probably more of a tends to vote conservative Republican, and that's okay. But District 2, if you look at the results, is if you look at Sun Prairie overall, we're a left of center, left-leaning community. That's just how the votes have gone. And so I expected Angie Yang to get some votes because if people were paying attention and felt like, hey, if I'd rather have Paul Esser, who's a Democratic progressive-leaning mayor, appoint a city council person rather than a conservative person, representing me, then that's who I would have voted for, quite frankly.
Yeah.
As I'm on that side of the street, even though Angie wasn't running. That's just playing that sort of chess match out. And so I'm not surprised that she got votes. I'm surprised it's this close.
I think you're seeing a lot of that. I think that some of the progressive organizations actually endorsed Angie Yang, from what I'm hearing, at the end of this race.
Yeah.
To try and force that situation where the mayor could appoint somebody. I think the fact that you've got two candidates with the same last name on the ballot maybe provides some lift if people aren't quite sure which one was which.
So yeah, because I saw yard signs around for Brenda Yang, who was
That's
running
right.
for county supervisor, and so yeah, I mean that.
So there could be some confusion crossover there.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of the former where folks are still voting for Angie Yang in hopes.
And look, any vote. I'm sorry, Brent. Any vote is a vote for someone, but also potentially a vote against someone. And as much as we would love to all be enamored with the candidates that we have, sometimes people make decisions based on who they don't want, and it's distinctly possible that a lot of that's going on tonight. So,
No doubt.
So we'll see how that goes. So thank you for tuning in. If you're still with us, it's my Fitbit has been telling us it's my birthday today. I haven't been touting that, but my Fitbit, every time I look down, it's got a stupid cupcake or birthday candles or something, and I just want to know what friggin' time it is. And Bill's got my phone, but I think we're coming up on 10 o'clock. Was it about 1:45? So
9:49.
I know my wife had thought she was working a polling place this evening, and had thought she might not be done till 9:30, and she actually just texted me she got home. So I don't know what's all involved with wrapping that up and getting the numbers. And
which location was she at?
She was at the Living Waters Church down over by Providence, kind of over off, what is that?
On the east side.
Yeah, on the west side, down by behind Cabela's, behind Target, kind of
yes,
over
yes,
there.
yes, that's right.
In District 2, or District 3. That's Maureen Karabbe and Mike Jacobs' district. So.
Bill Connors wants to say, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Why are they
Happy
put Bill
birthday, dear Andy. Happy birthday to you.
Oh my God.
We both took the high part.
Oh my,
that's pretty good.
oh my God.
Okay.
At one point it was like, it's my birthday. Is this really what I want to be doing? It's like, yeah,
Well, yeah,
it is.
come on.
This is fun. This is what else would I rather be doing?
So Bill Connors also says, guys, Mayor Esser cannot appoint someone to open a city council seat. Only the alderperson get to decide on who should fill an open seat. So go ahead, I got to answer.
So the
phone.
alder, the rest of the city council
Well, this is
would,
Bill.
if someone resigns, which is essentially what would happen if Angie Yang were to win.
Tell her to oh, never mind, I got it.
What's coming in? If Angie Yang were to win and immediately resign,
135.
then I guess Bill's saying the
Hey, Latoya, hang on a
rest
second,
of the
okay?
council
It's Bill.
would
Hang on,
nominate
and then we'll put you on.
would nominate a replacement. We got it? Are we on the air?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
So the council would select and vote on a replacement. Is that what?
That's what Bill's saying.
Yeah. And believe me, he knows.
Okay.
The dude knows.
So what do we got going on the phone, Bill?
Okay, hey, so now who's joining us and who's on the phone is Latoya Holliday, who is running in the second position with the Sun Prairie School Board. And Latoya, welcome to our show.
Good evening.
Glad to have you. Well, are you digging these results or what? That's all right.
Yeah, where are you physically? Are you having like a big watch party or what are you doing? Okay.
You didn't have a party. I was gonna say we didn't get invited to any party. I mean,
And we would have showed up even if we weren't on the list.
Nice. So you're just kind of rapidly refreshing like everyone else is, and trying to check those results. So what, I guess, down kind of the home stretch the last few days, did anything surprise you as part of the process or in the end, or how are you feeling going in when you woke up this morning?
I was feeling pretty good. I'm never the type of person to be overly confident. I mean, I respect all of my colleagues that were in the race, and I think I'll echo what many of them said at the last forum, is that I think Sun Prairie will be in a great position no matter who gets the seat. I think all of my colleagues are more than capable of doing a great job on behalf of the district. But yeah, I woke up feeling pretty confident. No matter what happens, I'm a resident here. I'm concerned about what happens here with the schools. I'll still be very involved. I'll still lend my support in whatever way that I can. So I would love to be a member of the board, but if it doesn't happen that way, just not meant to be. And we'll see what happens next time, or if I'll throw my hat in the race the next time. We'll see.
No, that's interesting to hear that you're kind of in it for the long haul. I know you mentioned when we talked, you'd lived more time in Madison than you had in Sun Prairie. You're relatively new, but the idea that you're kind of committed to the Sun Prairie schools and the community long term is nice to hear. I do want to ask you, because it came up earlier and I felt like it was important to get you on the phone. So we mentioned earlier that you have two kids in private schools, which was something that I think several people weren't aware of, and I think. I don't know if that would have changed anyone's mind, but it seemed like new information that now that the election's over and all ballots have been cast, what do you want to respond to that, or what are your feelings about it? Yeah. Okay.
the level of expertise, perspective, and work hard on behalf of all kids and families in Sun Prairie.
Well, Hugh Cha wants to say, go LaToya!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I hope that any voters that did vote for me, and if I have a couple seconds to just say this, didn't feel, any way about that. It wasn't something that I was trying to hide. It came up. I did answer the question. So I hope that people don't feel that, it was something that was, kept a secret, because it wasn't something that I was trying to hide at all.
Yeah, LaToya, thanks for running, regardless of the results tonight. Throughout the race and throughout your campaign, anything surprising, challenges that you weren't expecting, hurdles that you weren't expecting along the way? Just trying to get your thoughts on how that went for you.
Everything went fine. I mean, I don't know that I ran a, top-notch A1 campaign. I'm sure there were a lot of things that I could have done. There were a lot of things that I wanted to do that I wasn't able to do just because of time and, other things, and just because of the sort of short runway that we have, with campaigning for school board races. Nothing that was surprising. It was a great learning experience for me. I mean, this was all new. I've never run for an elected office. Just the opportunity to engage with my colleagues that were on the ballot, and to talk to people, and to meet and get to know Sun Prairie was just an experience that I don't take for granted, and I wouldn't take back, no matter what the outcome of the results. Like I said earlier, we're new to the community, but we're invested. I told my husband I'm not buying another house. I'm not moving again. Hopefully, I don't want to move anymore. I want this to kind of be it for us until all of our kids are grown and out of the house. So I want Sun Prairie to be a great city. I want Sun Prairie School District to be a great district for every family that chooses to enroll in this district, and I'm committed to working hard to doing that. And I hope that today the voters, have confidence in me and believe that I can do that.
Excellent.
No, thanks, LaToya. And I stayed neutral. I made the decision. I wasn't going to put any yard signs in my yard. I wasn't going to make any endorsements. I'm relatively new to this whole process, and it was a little bit of an experiment for me, honestly, to see. And I want to say, at the end of the day, I kind of regretted it, because I was extremely impressed with you and your campaign, and I wish that I had been more supportive of you, and I really hope that your results hold, that you are elected, because I echo what Tony said. Thank you for running regardless of the results. And I think it sort of was a little bit learning lesson for me, that if you like somebody in the race, speak up and say it. And there's no reason to hold back, and life's too short. So it was I just wanted to share that with you. Yeah,
your resume and your background is extremely impressive. I wish you the best. I do want to mention the fact that you're a Bears fan, though.
Yes, I am, and I was very bold and put a picture of me and sort of my Bears gear on the back of one of my plots.
I'm not a political analyst by trade, but I feel like this is going into downtown Madison, staying near a Trump fan. I think, it might be true, but I wouldn't advise it.
Bears still suck.
I appreciate the transparency.
Yeah, and I think I hopefully, I think that gives, if the results do hold and you are elected, that says something about Sun Prairie, that we're able to look past somewhat fairly major character flaws and still see that, what's most important.
I love it.
We're kidding around, and I think when it comes to the serious stuff and our kids and our schools, you are really qualified, and appreciate what you're doing. So, and look forward to having your voice involved in the community, however things play out. So, well, thanks, LaToya. I appreciate you taking some time to talk to us.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you giving me time tonight, and I hope to talk to you guys soon.
Thank you much.
Sounds good. You're welcome on my show on Monday if you want.
We'll see what we can do. Thank you.
And we've always got microphones open for people to talk to. So that was LaToya Holiday, currently running in second place behind Diana McFarland, who was on earlier, slightly ahead of Lisa Goldsberry at this point, Steve Schrader, and Stephen Elmer, unless the results have changed here just recently. So I'm not quite sure how long we're going to hang out here.
Bill Connors posted on Facebook 11 minutes ago, I wish we could get results from wards 11, 12, 13, which voted at United Methodist Church. So United Methodist Church is still out.
Those Methodists move slow.
Well,
They do. I mean, come on. Catholics, we're in and out in 42 minutes. Come on. Get these
and the
results back.
Lutherans are even earlier.
Well, I know, right? I tell you.
And then he says wards 20.
Let's draw stereotypical conclusions based on how the people at their church vote.
Man, it's 10 o'clock at night. We're okay.
He says wards 22, 23, 24 on the far northwest side are not.
They're not important.
I'm not sure where those wards are. Those were the west of Grand. So west of Grand and north of St. Albert the Great is still out.
Okay.
And we're still looking
So those
for
are
11, 12, 13 for school board.
Yeah,
Oh, and that's
okay.
District 4. So that's probably
two.
the folks that were at the West Side Community Center. And
Wow. They
Yeah,
had computer
I-
problems
too.
today.
Uh,
This morning, they were running into difficulties.
hey, which is now is a good time to, as all this talk about election results or election, fraud or election, the safety and security of our elections. Elena Hiltby and the city clerk staff, I have worked at polls, my wife has worked at polls, I've had interactions with the clerk's office. They do a phenomenal job. They are nothing but dedicated, committed, impartial community servants. And
Yeah.
any notion that they're trying to do anything to manipulate the vote or to do anything that
Right.
isn't just counting every vote and getting a neutral result is an insult to everything that they do.
Yep.
And I cannot be more supportive of, quite frankly, city clerks and the people that run our elections everywhere. You talk about thankless jobs. They do a very, very important service, and they do it well. And I want to thank Elena Hiltby and the whole city clerk staff what they do over there.
When COVID
Computer
hit,
problems be damned. I mean, laws change and rules
Yeah.
change, and look, the state government has made it more difficult, more complicated, and more confusing to vote.
He's getting
and,
political.
And they roll with everything, and make it as easy as best they do the best job they can.
when COVID hit and they moved it to the high school,
Right.
Her team adapted in such a way that was amazing, and I can't believe that we don't have drive-through service today. I mean, they had cars wrapped
Yeah, that's
around
right.
the high school.
I remember
They
that.
had the barriers that I was up there for 10 hours broadcasting, 10 hours, and I was just so
I
impressed.
remember
with the
Glass
staff.
Nickel Pizza Brush. Shout out Glass Nickel, Adam Bougie. Check out his new location down at, I don't know, can we say that?
Yeah.
That's news. He's got a new location. He's open. But
You can say anything you want. It's 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's right. on public radio.
See, on
I was in there.
Have you been to the new Glass Nickel?
Yeah, I went for takeout Thursday or Friday night. We had takeout pizza.
There you go. Go
So
check it
it's
out.
pretty rough inside.
Sure.
So they don't have there's no seating yet, so it's all takeout. But you can see what it's going to look like. The finishings are nice. They got the big garage doors,
Really cool.
so you can see in summer. It's gonna be a nice
That'd be
patio
awesome.
overlooking downtown. It's gonna be great.
Sweet.
We still have the results have not changed. Elena, could send us some results, woman. We're waiting for
We're
you.
supposed to be getting an email.
Hey, I want to say something.
Yeah,
We're
go ahead.
talking about the fraud and all that. I still like the idea of showing identification when you vote, because I do the same thing when I go to the doctor. I do the same thing when I get on an airplane. I want to make sure that, and I'm glad that they checked it. Then they checked it to my address. I'm like, wow, you guys really checked me out today.
So what do you say to somebody that doesn't have ID, can't get ID?
They can't go to the doctor then, or how do they go to the doctor?
I don't know. I don't know anybody that doesn't have ID, but I know that there are people that don't, and I try to put myself in their shoes and.
No, I get that.
And if you don't have ID, call us because I want to know what your situation
Yeah.
is. But
Bill, I thought you weren't going to get political.
No, I'm not being political. I just want to make sure that it's like here, I'll tell you. I don't think I'm talking out of turn. Matt Harms today. I saw Matt and talking about him voting. He goes, "Yeah, I went down to Colonial Club to vote. I've been voting there for 30 years." And I'm like, "Okay, what's wrong?" He goes, "Well, I got down there and they couldn't find my name." And I said, okay, what's the problem? He goes, "I don't know. They couldn't find my name." And then John Andrus comes over and goes, "Matt, you moved, and the districts have changed. Dude, you're not supposed to be here." But that's a good example of here's your ID, here's your address, go vote where you're supposed to. But I think it's just a clean thing. Steve,
you want to?
can you text him and tell him to call us? Because calling us is easier.
Yeah. I don't know the number.
Hang on. You don't hear I got it. I got him.
So I would say I'm a big fan of David Brooks. who's on the PBS NewsHour.
Yeah.
New York Times columnist David Brooks.
New York Times columnist
Yeah.
David Brooks. He mentions
Tends to lean moderate conservative.
moderate conservative.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate his viewpoint on that show. He reiterates often that regardless of efforts to improve voter turnout or perceived efforts to suppress voter turnout are usually proven untrue, and that people that want to vote will find a way to vote, and people that aren't going to vote aren't. And although it gins up support for the left and the right based on demanding voter ID or some of the automatic voter registration, things like that, at the end of the day, studies show that people who want to vote are going to vote.
They're going to vote. They're going to find a way to vote.
I've seen the same thing. And look, when these elections are so tight, like the governor's race, Tony Evers won by this sliver of a vote. Everybody is trying to find an angle and every advantage. But I think, to except when you tell people they can't do something, that they get more motivated, and it raises the awareness of the fact that people are trying to make it more difficult to vote, and people realize, well, I need to pay attention and do the things that need to be done. At the end of the day, I don't know why we aren't making it easier to vote, why that appears to be one party seems to take the position that making it harder to vote is something that they support. But I think in some Prairie, it's very easy to vote, and within the confines of state or federal laws, gerrymandering and all that, we have a very good job. We do a very good job here locally.
This political. He really leans one way, doesn't he?
Oh, just wait till you get a couple beers.
Oh my gosh, we got some in the fridge.
Well, this thing could go downhill real quick.
Wait, so the mail-in votes bother me. I mean, just mailing in a vote. I mean, I understand the convenience of it and that, but how do you validate that it's a real ballot?
What else is it? Somebody making Xeroxes of
I'm sure, well, what's his name, Daley or whatever, he did that, didn't he? He's making up ballots.
Everybody brings up Chicago and Daley and John. This is like...
Well, they kind of move up here, You know why they move here, right?
That was like 50 and 60 and 70 years ago that these things happen. We've got...
History repeats
We have
itself.
technology and we have checks and balances.
And
I think there's no evidence of any kind of
That's
widespread voter fraud. It just came out this week that this guy that voted in 2 different states was a Republican from New Hampshire. But that the only actual people voting twice tend to be the people that are screaming about it the loudest. But anyway.
4 times.
Anyway.
I voted 4 times last time, and I still didn't win.
Vote early, vote often.
Yeah, absolutely. Chicago way. Do it.
Who do you want to talk to? Do you want to talk to somebody?
What upsets me more
Give us
is
a
when
call.
I see lines for voting and people are waiting 3 hours to vote.
That's ridiculous.
To me, that's the travesty. Like, I'm willing to horse trade voter ID to make sure that nobody's waiting in line more than an hour to be able to exercise their civic democratic duty.
Well, I got to tell you this, because Terry, we bought a house in September, so she was registered in Madison, and so she had to register today. She didn't get her absentee ballot, which she requested. And so she came in, registered to vote, and it was faster for her than this guy taking my driver's license and looking at my driver's license, and kept looking back at I'm like, it's the same address as the last person.
Can you hear me?
And it took her longer to do that.
No, I'm sorry. I was testing out my button here.
Yeah, you're dead.
I'm off? Okay. Am I back?
Oh, you got the cough button, huh?
Am I back?
Nope.
No. There we go.
Nope.
Nope.
Are you messing with stuff?
No, I'm out.
Stop pushing buttons in.
Am I back now?
Now you're back.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're back.
Sorry.
There's been no change.
I normally
yet.
sit in the big seat. I don't normally sit in the guest seat.
You can drive anytime, bud. I mean,
Okay, no
I'm trying
change.
to do this for you.
No change. I've not done this before. I had this crazy idea, and I thought,
Isn't this fun?
It's great fun, but it gives you new appreciation for these the people on these national newscasts on election night who sound like dopes half the time, and it's like because they're just sitting there waiting for stuff to happen, and they got to fill time. But
no change in the Alder districts either.
That's crazy. Yeah. Where are these votes at?
Right.
I don't call
somebody called the United Methodist Church.
I know.
And let's see what's going on.
I told Tony, I was like, I'm going to try to get on the air by 8:30. I got
Chad.
And Tony's like, you better get in there early. We might have results by.
Yeah, I thought this thing would be over quick.
Oh my! Last year, or when I ran, all of a sudden there's those areas that were missing, and I'm like, well, okay, I got some areas that are still having, and they go, that's the business district. Nobody lives there. Oh, Russ? Okay. I think I have him.
You got his number?
I think so. I think I have most of them. Like you got to call all these people and.
Yeah, just again, it's my 10 after 10 now in the evening. It's if you're listening, we're on Facebook Live, right?
Yes, we are.
You know, I don't know. How could you find that link if you want to go watch us on?
You can go to the Sun Prairie Media Center Facebook page. You can go to your Facebook page. You can go to my Facebook page.
Bill Baker, Andy Schoenherr, and you can find a link. We're on Facebook Live. Otherwise, you can go, well, if you're listening, you're on 103.5 FM. The Sun Prairie's Community Radio. I'm here with Bill Baker. Normally, I host What Are We Building, a radio show and talk show. We have interviews. I will put in a plug if to the 4 people that are still listening. I'm going to be talking to the mayor. I had my 50th episode. So I talked to all the candidates, right? Cool. I talked to the city council, the school board race candidates, and my 50th episode kind of came and went because I had them all stacked up, like racehorses. I had to get them all out of the gate, and so my 50th episode was, I think, the one I did, might have been the one I did with David and Russ. But I didn't get a chance to sort of acknowledge that as a milestone. 50 episodes. Sure. I've been doing this over 2 years now. But I had originally had the idea, well, it's 50 episodes. I'll try to talk to somebody important. And I called the mayor. I said, would you be on the show? He said, absolutely, I'd be glad to. Well, that didn't work out because I had to get all the candidates in before the election. So end of this month, end of April, I will have probably a 2-part, like 1-hour episode with Mayor Esser, and we'll get his weigh in on what the new city council looks like. Maybe we'll talk about the schools or whatever. We'll talk about whatever the mayor and I want to talk about. So a little plug for that. I am talking to Donna Mackey, if anybody knows Donna. Donna, important lady, longtime resident of Sun Prairie. I'll be talking to her tomorrow on the show. So this week we'll have Donna on, and then later this month talking to Mayor Esser. Bill, I know you're going to have some of these candidates on Monday. Is that your plan?
No.
Oh, no.
I'm done with them.
Oh.
I'm done with them. Dude, we talked enough.
You know who you're going to talk to on Monday?
Actually, Rob Callwalder is going to come in from Pro Health Chiropractic, and we're going to talk. He's going to be starting his new show. It's a health show, and I can't remember the name of it. Ask Dr. Rob or something like that.
All right.
But he's going to come in and we're going to chat, and he wants to see what it's like to do a live show.
There you go.
I can't imagine not doing a live show.
See, and I can't imagine doing this is terrifying for me.
It is?
Keep talking. I feel like I'm
you're doing great, bud.
Filling the air. And
so Mary Polinsky on Monday comes in, and so morning show is 2 hours. It's 7 to 9. Mary says, 2 hours? I can give you 30 minutes. And so we started talking and blah, 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 and I said, well, we got about 10 minutes left in the show. She goes, 10 minutes?
It flies by.
And I said, yeah, Mary, it's been 2 hours. She's like, eyeball roll.
So that's a good segue into Mary Polinsky, who was District 4. She retiring, will be replaced by either David Virgil or Russ Weed, based on the results this evening. And then also Teresa Stevens, who was in District 2. She'll be replaced by either Brent Iceburner, or we'll see what happens with this. Angie, probably will be Brent, would be my guess, but we'll see. It's closer than we think right now. But both, we talked earlier, these are thankless jobs, public servants. Mary in particular, long time on the council, and lots of years of service to the community. And so I don't think we can thank those folks enough. And whether I think sometimes people get into this thinking, if I got to do this, I'm going to do it forever. And it's like, well, you can serve and do your time and help play a role or whatever you're doing for that time, and then when your time is done or things change, then move on. But and that's how I'm with Teresa Stevens. She's going to be working for the library sort of fundraising arm of the library, right. And so
and she was on council for
at least 2 cycles, I think.
Right, 4 years.
I don't know. That's your district, Bill, isn't it? 3. So 6 years.
Yeah, I think so.
Total. Those just basic things people don't always realize. These are 2-year terms, so and they alternate at odd or even years. So we'll have next year Faustina Bowling in District 4 will be up for re-election. So basically, there's 8 people on the board, on the council. So if the 4 that weren't running this time will be running, the other 4 will be running in off year. So every year you get a chance crack at this.
Half of the council.
Right.
is up every year.
Right, and so you can have a chance to run against them if you want, or vote them out if you want, or vote them back in. So I think there's a perception too sometimes that it's like the same people have been up in this ivory tower making decisions for years, and it doesn't matter, nothing changes, I don't know why I vote. That's not really the case. When you look at the tenure of a lot of these folks, it isn't as long.
There's been a lot of turnover.
It really has been
over the last four or 5 years, and I think so. We could rattle off the names.
Stalker, Crombie, Jacobs, Esser.
Maybe not the last 4 or 5 years, but the last 10 certainly.
Same people.
I think the council hasn't. Jokic is new. Teresa was new.
You don't count.
Faustina's new.
Yeah.
David or Russ will be new, and Brent or Angie will be new.
That's right.
And,
So that's five. That's 5 right there.
Yeah. So, and I think
there are some institutional names
Yeah.
as well. I think that the way the city's set up, it takes, correct me if I'm wrong, but it takes 6 votes to pass a budget amendment.
Right.
So if there's
Mr. Mayor was looking to change that
So if there's-
recently
so
as
if there's
well.
8
That was
people-
changed.
I don't think it.
Not by a supermajority, but by a majority.
Bill Connors, are you here?
I want to say it
Bill, are
was
you still
changed to a
listening?
majority.
No, I know
I think it
I know
takes-
that the mayor did propose a change recently, and I don't recall whether that passed.
I'm not sure. I
Or
remember
not.
the impression it didn't. So I thought
thought it did.
if you could get 3 people together, 3 votes
Mm-hmm.
on the council, you could really impact the direction of funding.
Sure. And kind of be a throw a wrench in the wheel.
Yeah, influence where things are going.
Yep.
You know the thing
We need
about
research assistants. That's what we need. Jeff Robbins, are you listening? Is he still up? We need.
let's put that in the budget. The numbers have still not changed. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Did you refresh it?
Yeah, I did.
And I have
several
not,
times.
not seen anything from.
Somebody want to call
From-
the city?
You want to drive down there? We're not that far away. So I don't know, Bill. Do you want to try? I mean, I had planned to try to call. I feel like we should call.
I'm working
Russ,
on it.
I feel like we should try to call Russ Weed. We spent,
I did.
a good amount of time.
I did.
I'd given most of these folks a heads up. We might call them, and if they're not available and they want to chat with us, that's fine too. I'm sure they've got other things that are going on, and people and stuff with their families are trying to manage. It's getting late too. I don't know. At some point,
Well, it's past your bedtime,
You
I
just gotta
know.
go to bed.
I know it's past my bedtime.
I love election night. Is like I
Oh, hang
You're
on.
up late.
Hang on.
I have no bedtime on election night, local, national, otherwise. I'm always
103.5.
in for the long haul. All right, somebody's on the phone.
Hey, Brent. Hey, hang on, buddy. Okay, we're gonna put you on hold and put you on the air. Is that okay?
We're talking.
We're
Brent-
talking about elections
efforting-
and city
efforting
council
as we
and.
speak, to speak with Brent Iceburner.
All right, hang on, buddy.
Get my master's voice on, ladies and
It
gentlemen.
was Buck and Honey's was
Hopefully.
his party.
He was having a party. But
I was there.
Bill's phone. We talked about sending Bill out on the road to do a deal. We weren't quite ready for that.
A remote?
That's next year.
Dude, you could not do that and do the switching. It would have been.
I wouldn't. There's no way I
Right.
could have handled that.
So-
Again, we need technical assistants. We need engineers. We
Right.
need research assistants. This is next year. The next cycle we'll be able to
I-
ramp it up.
Let's post some jobs.
Wait.
I think that's going well for companies right
Wait
now.
till you see my bill for this. I mean, come on. Hey, so on the line, you have Brent on the line right now.
Hey, Brent, can you hear me? Hey, there you go. So you're a Buck and Honey's? That's what I heard. Yeah, that's probably good to do after a while. So I suppose you're kind of hearing the results. Is this taking longer than you expected?
That's an understatement. And actually, I was, perhaps routinely refreshing the page on Channel 3000's results, and one thing that struck me is, and I took screenshots of it. At one point, there was over 50% reporting for District 2, and then 20 minutes later, it dropped down to 14% reporting for District 2. The voter turnout is low. I mean, I think everybody's aware of that, but I don't know, that struck me as odd with what happened.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to track because people get 3 votes for school board. It's like, did obviously people at District 2 would have shown up to vote for school board, but it's hard to tell if there were people that voted for school board but didn't vote for council because they thought it was kind of an uncontested race. I don't know. Did you have any sense of that? Whether people were just sort of choosing not to vote because they felt like the race wasn't, that Angie had dropped out?
Well, I'm sure that may have played a factor, and again, I think I talked with you earlier when I said there was various organizations telling people to vote for Angie even though she's not running, or quote unquote running, so that the city council can appoint somebody. But my biggest, I wouldn't call it concern. Number one, the numbers haven't updated in quite some time for District 2 or District 4, which strikes me as odd because with a low voter turnout that we've seen, I would have thought it would have been in faster. But then the second thing that strikes me as odd is, again, Channel 3000 was reporting over 50% of the vote for District 2 was in, with me in a marginal lead. And then, 20 minutes later, it shows District 2 with 14% of the vote in.
57.
Same website, same data, I suppose.
Yeah, so Bill's just saying he's on.
I honestly have no idea what's going on.
We've got an update.
So Bill was just saying he's on the county website. That's what we've been watching here tonight, and you're saying there's 57% in?
Right now it's 57.1%. You're leading 57.6 to 41%. 235 votes to 169, and then 4 Abraham Lincolns.
That's the write-ins?
That's the write-ins.
Well, good for honest Abe there. But so that's updated from the last time I checked. And again, this was probably almost an hour ago. I saw it at 50 some odd percent of the district reporting, and then it reverted back to 14% of the district reporting. The numbers didn't change with the vote totals at all, which again just makes it odd. I don't know why. And again, I was following Channel 3000. I don't know what data they're using. I don't know, kind of what was going on there. Maybe it was just a technical glitch on their end, but strikes me as odd.
It was, by the way, I saw the same thing you did. As you came on and we were talking, I refreshed, and it just changed. And I've been refreshing it over and over. Tony's over here smacking me on the back of the head. Refresh, refresh, refresh. It's a...
Same for the past couple hour and a half or so. So.
Yeah, Bill's fingers are like ground down to the nub, hitting the refresh button.
They are. Look.
It's no. It looks like I think the Methodist Church was late, and the community center it sounded like was running into some technical difficulties in reporting. So I think we're still waiting on those. But it's looking strong for you, Brent. Any I've been following your campaign amongst other local candidates.
Tell him who you are. He has no idea who you are.
Tony Clem. You don't know Tony?
No, he doesn't know that you're on here.
Oh, Brent.
Brent doesn't know who you are.
I did not recognize your voice, Tony, but I do know that.
Well, I haven't met you in person yet. I was hoping to catch you at Buck and Honey's tonight if this thing hadn't lasted, till 10:30 at night, just to introduce myself.
That was pregame, by the way.
Yeah, so somehow these two yahoos let me on to this show tonight.
You're doing a wonderful job.
I appreciate that.
Very brave of you, Andy and Bill.
Well, this is great for Andy because he doesn't do live radio. So he's sitting there going, oh, my God, what are we going to talk about?
You talking to me on live radio, but that's all right.
No, I needed Bill here. He's my safety. But Bill's the expert on he's the engineer, he's producer, he's doing the whole thing. So I was wondering, did you talk to other candidates or other folks as to how, I was curious, because I knew we were going to do this, like how long it normally would take to get results? What were you expecting?
So I've been, I guess, text messaging with David Virgil, who's in District 4. I was with Russ Weed, who is also District 4, and also Stephen Elmer, who's for School Board. And we've all been talking, and it definitely seems like, well, first and foremost, which I'm sad to say, and I wish it was different, but voter turnout seemed incredibly low compared to previous years, and I hope that is a fluke, and I hope that in future elections voter turnout is higher. But with regards to the time it has taken. Again, the voter turnout seems low, which in my mind should equate to a quicker result, and that's not happening. I don't know why it's not happening, and I know. So my mother works the polls up in northern Wisconsin, so I know there's a lot of work that goes into it that people don't always see. But frankly, it's 10:30 at night, and I still don't know the result of the election with low voter turnout, and that
0.1%.
Concerning, I guess, is a good word to put on it.
Yeah, and we were just talking about, the city clerk does a great job, and they're dedicated public service, that office, and the poll workers and everybody that does that, and my thanks to them. But, I think I'm sitting here too saying, normally voter turnout's higher in a presidential election or, even a primary and that kind of thing. But it feels to me that you're right. It is 10:30 at night, and it does kind of scratch your head as to what is taking so long. So I don't know, Bill, did you guys get new information just recently? No.
Putting down the poll workers or anything like that. Perhaps there's a technical issue that I don't know about. But this goes into some of the transparency with local governance. If there is a technical issue, I'd love the city clerk to post a message somewhere on the City of Sun Prairie website or some Facebook page saying, hey, we're having this issue. We apologize for it, but we're working through it, or something like that. Because just the waiting, as much as I love being on edge, it in my mind could sow the doubt into election integrity, which frankly I don't think needs to happen here.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to
say something, Bill.
I was going to say, how you were with Russ Weed. How's he doing when you left, or was he still at the party?
He's still there, and trying to watch the numbers. But again, there hasn't been an update. Well, apparently some new data came in if you're looking at it, but from what we were seeing, there hadn't been an update for well over an hour, and quite frankly, I said, I'm going to go home to my family. Hopefully they're all in bed, which they are, and we can find out in the morning.
No, and I go ahead. I think the transparency thing I think is fair, and it was even a learning experience for me. And we're all sort of amateur volunteers here. We don't really know what we're doing. We're just yapping on a microphone. But as I tried to find out from different people I knew or different sources as to, okay, how do these results actually get communicated? How do they go? Where do they, how do they get reported from the polling place? A lot of this stuff is done electronically now. My wife kind of told me they go to the Wisconsin Elections Commission, and then obviously they eventually get disseminated out to the media. I'm sure Channel 3000 and the State Journal, they have a mechanism in place to get all this information that we just don't have at the media center. It was kind of a learning experience for me, but I've kind of made a little mental note to try to talk to Elena, whether it's on the radio, Elena Hiltby, the city clerk, whether it's on the radio or just me personally, because I am sort of curious, because it wasn't as clear or easy to find out as I thought it would have been. And so I think as a candidate, you're certainly going through the emotional roller coaster of trying to figure out what's going to happen, even though you're in the lead. And I think that's fair to kind of have a better understanding of how this process takes place, given all the discussion in particular that's been around voter integrity, election integrity, and all this kind of thing. Let's be transparent about it. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt and don't assume that there's any funny business going on. But I'm happy to share that with everybody and sort of educate people. I think it's kind of interesting, and we should all know that a little bit better.
And quite frankly, I agree. I don't think there's any funny business going on, especially in a town like Sun Prairie where the city staff is great. I mean, every time I've spoken to them, they've been very open and transparent. But I can see how people could take delayed results as insert whatever conspiracy or thing you say if your candidate doesn't win. But I do think that, getting the clerk, on the radio or something like that could be detrimental to the process. So maybe it's something prior to the ballot counting or prior to the close of elections where the clerk gives some sort of an update saying, here's what's going on. And if there is a technical issue or whatever it is with reporting the results of the election, if somebody can at least address that.
11, 12, 13 or
whether
not
it's a technical issue or, whatever it may be. I think that goes to just the general communication of what the city is doing and what's happening in the city and how it affects, people's lives.
Yeah, and I don't know that people know that the city clerk runs the election, so just basic education for people, and then, understanding, that they're also running the school board election, and that goes different than the county elections, or all that is sort of run in these city polling places, and try and understand that. So I think we're
If I can interrupt you really quickly, because with what you just said, with the clerk running the local elections, school board elections, the county election, all the election stuff, I don't want to put it squarely on the clerk to make that process known. I do think that, I'm a fan of voters or average citizens doing some research, how do local elections work? And perhaps that could be something put on the website, because when I went to the City of Sun Prairie election results, it gave, the past month, but maybe there's a URL or a website or whatever you want to call it that says, this is, what happens in an election. This is everything behind the curtain for the election. And then I think that the average voter, when they're waiting on results from, their votes, they can look to that and see, or maybe not see, but perhaps understand the process that's going on, because I guarantee the clerk right now, all the poll workers, everybody is working to the best of their ability. And I'll be honest with you, if you asked me 5, 7, 10 years ago what happened in an election or how an election is run, I couldn't tell you. And frankly, I wouldn't know where to get the information. So.
Yeah, as I think as Tom Petty said, the waiting is the hardest part. So I appreciate you coming on with us, Brent. I did want to clear up one point of contention, because I believe you would know of all people, is if Angie Yang were for some reason to get more votes with these coming in, I think the consensus we learned was that if she resigned, then the council would have to would decide to appoint. They could appoint you, I suppose, technically. Is that how the process would work? And it doesn't look like it's headed that way, but I just wanted to ask you while you were on to help clear that up for us, how that process works.
Can appoint somebody, they don't have to, but if they were to appoint somebody, they would open it up to, I guess, applications is the best way to put it. Various people would apply. I can tell you right now, I would be one of those people applying for the position, and then it's up to the council to vote on who they want to fill the seat. And quite frankly, I would apply for that position because it's clear I want to be a representative of District 2.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. We don't have a long line of people signing up to do this job. So, I appreciate. We probably don't see eye to eye or agree on 100%, but that's okay. And but I appreciate you making the effort and stepping up. So and staying up late, and I hopefully we have some results soon.
Yeah, Brent, I just say that from following you on Facebook and you've been out there a lot. You've been really visible, really engaged, proactively talking with a lot of different community leaders. So I appreciate that effort and appreciate you running.
And again, that's why even if I win this election, it's slightly disappointing on the voter turnout portion. And quite frankly, I hope local elections in the future get a much larger turnout, because quite frankly, if you don't vote, then your voice isn't going to get heard, and I don't think that you should be complaining about it, because you then exercise your right to vote, which is a part of what makes this country great.
Amen. Amen, Brent.
I agree with you,
Yep.
100%.
No, we'll hopefully, I don't know if you'll be able to get some sleep, but at least maybe, I don't know, have a cocktail or whatever you're going to do to unwind tonight. So
Best of luck.
But that's all right.
that's good. Well, I don't know how long you guys want to hang out here. This is going later than I thought, but this is our special election night edition of What Are We Building with Tony Clemmy and Bill Baker. We've had some candidates on, and it's been fun. But it's a little. I don't do well with open-ended commitments. It's like I want to know what's going on, and this is a little. As it drags on, I don't know.
It was District 2 had been out, so I think that there's 2 voting locations in District 2. It's Heartland Church, that seems to be fully in. United Methodist Church is 11, 12, 13. So although we're talking about the clerk and where the hang-up could be,
right.
Elections in general it's a very decentralized process.
Yeah.
And it feels to me that when those voting machines in that certain polling location shut down, it prints out a summary report, and that then goes to the city, which goes to the county. That's my impression.
Okay.
So it feels like there could be a hang-up right now with the actual polling location reporting results in to the city, because from there I would assume that things would flow rather smoothly.
It's the hanging Chad.
Well, I doubt it.
No.
I voted electronically, and then I got a printout paper ballot. I think that was the first time I've done that in Sun Prairie. Did you guys, when you guys voted, was it?
I colored my ballot in.
Okay, so it was still the old, like, fill in the
circle.
In the circle.
Yep.
Yeah, I voted early at the library, and it was, maybe they were just kind of testing pilot, but yeah, I pushed the buttons, and then we got a printout of my vote so I could verify that. So
one day it'll be from our computers.
Here's my phone literally, it just went to black and white because that's my digital well-being kicking in. I'm supposed to be asleep by now. I'm supposed to be off my phone. My phone's telling me
officially past your
to go to bed.
Now.
It didn't know it was election night in Sun Prairie. So there's that. If you're just joining us, I don't know why you would have. I don't know why you're still with us if you're listening earlier. But can we just give a quick recap of the numbers on where we're at?
All right,
for folks that if maybe you're working second shift or something and just getting on,
driving
home and wanting to get an update.
There is a 2-vote spread, I think.
2 votes?
Bill, am I looking at that right? There's a 2-vote differential here.
Between was that the Schrader-Goldsberry race?
18.8 and 18.9%.
Okay, so that's changed. So so we're talking about the Sun Prairie School Board.
So as
five candidates, 3 spots, and so give us a breakdown. Can you give us percentages and raw vote totals?
Would you like me to do
That's
that?
a high bar, Bill.
I could do that.
You're up.
I know.
I think you can do it.
Let me warm up.
All right.
Okay, I'm ready. Here we go. Diane McFarland is leading with 2,800 votes, or 25.6% of the vote. In second place is LaToya Holiday with 2,246 votes, or 20.5%. In third place is Steve Schrader.
Oh, so Steve has gotten into third.
With 2063, 8.9%.
Let's call it a tie for third right now.
Lisa Goldsberry at 2,061 votes, or 18.8%. Let's clear it one more time.
So that's the school board race.
That's the school board race.
And David Virgil and Russ Weed, that's been at 360 to 240.
Yeah, that's so disappointing.
Since I got here.
Yeah,
really. So
and we've got 3
David
precincts.
Virgil's in the lead at 360.
He is.
With half the precincts reporting.
Correct.
Right? So
correct.
So that could easily flip for the second half, and who knows? This is what we've been looking
120
at.
votes with 3 precincts that have not reported.
Right, and then the Iceburner Yang race, so District 2,
that's Brent.
That's Brent. We just had him on the phone.
Right.
So we had talked about those numbers, but he's leading 57 to 43-ish.
Correct.
58 to 42-ish.
He's got 235 votes to 169. 57.6% of the vote is what Brent has captured so far. 41% for Angie Yang.
So,
with three big wards outstanding.
Yeah, 11, 12, and 13 not reporting.
Okay. So, that was the race. If anybody doesn't know, Angie Yang had said she wasn't pursuing the,
Right.
it dropped out. But so kind of surprising she'd still get 40+%, but that's what the numbers are at right now. So, I mean, now's as good a time as any. Brent was disappointed in turnout. We talk about turnout, why people get motivated to vote. Tony and I, you've had this conversation, why people are more engaged with the presidential election and national elections, but don't come out for city elections. 2 votes right now. 2 votes are separating Steve Schrader and Lisa Goldsberry. No change?
Sorry. Lisa Goldsberry has now moved to third at 23-27 compared to Steve Schrader at 23-21. She's up by 6.
So 6 votes. So, I mean,
your point still holds.
Yes, your vote is worth even more in these low turnout local elections, where people are making decisions on what your tax bill looks like at the end of the year. When you got to write that check, or however you do it, when the stuff you see every day that determines your quality of life or not. These are those people. Not to say national elections don't matter, but
there's an argument to be made that local government officials impact your daily life in a much greater way than the President of the United States.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I like, to me, the sick part is that the voter turnout's so low in spring, awareness is really low, and it shows you how much commercials, advertising, mainstream media funnels the awareness and the excitement, and that these local races, unfortunately, really suffer. Part of me wonders if we should push all of the local elections to fall, and I'll have it all on one, where you have a wider, broader electorate at the polls.
Yeah, that's a really interesting concept, because you're right. People are going to get up and juiced, to go to the polls because of what they're seeing, and national elections just drive turnout. And if we had, look, that's how they do the referendums, right? They specifically scheduled the referenda for the high school and the elementary schools to fall on a national election cycle, because they felt like they had a better chance, or not just a better chance, maybe not a better chance, but felt like the result to the community would be more valid because they had more turnout and more people participate. And congratulations! I like the fact that in 2020, sorry, I get my times mixed up. When Trump got elected in '96, it's late. I'm getting numbers mixed up.
I don't think that was 96. I think
98.
Trump got elected in 2016.
Yeah, there you go. I was like, wait a minute.
Oh my God! Thank you for being here.
How many terms did he have? 4?
I didn't start cracking a cocktail before. It felt like it was the 90s, wasn't it? It felt like it was a decade of that turkey. Anyway, on the day that Trump got elected, I remember thinking, the one good thing that came out, and it affected my kids more directly, in the end, was the fact that we're going to build 2 new schools and put that money and invest in our kids. And so those referenda happened on major presidential election cycles, I think, because the district felt like that's when the most turnout happens, that's when the most participation is, and the community would accept those results more because we had a broader base of the community participating and involved in voting. And so, there's a certain argument to be made. We should look at doing that for these council and school board races. Bill, what do you got?
We have 100% of precincts reporting on District 4. David Virgil has 692 votes, 432 for Russ Weed. That's 61% of the votes to 38% of the votes. David Virgil has won the
unofficial final.
Unofficial final.
If we had music or the sign, we can now make the call. 100% reporting. Also, so congratulations to David. David was here earlier, and he will be our next city council alder from District 4.
District 2 also is 100%, all votes in. Brent Eisenbrenner wins 587 votes, 56% of the vote. Let's go to the school board, just checking, let's rotate it in, come on,
so
100%.
So there it is.
Oh my gosh, here we go. It's Diana McFarland has 3,663 votes. Latoya Holliday, 2,911 votes. Steve Schrader, 2,676 votes for the third place finish.
2676.
2676. And Lisa Goldsberry, 2669. Stephen Elmer, 2212.
Oh my gosh! So 7 votes. I couldn't
votes.
do the years earlier, but I could do 7 votes.
You can do 7
Just
votes.
now on Lisa Goldsberry. I mean, Lisa,
7 votes short.
I think you said earlier, nobody has a bigger heart than Lisa Goldsberry.
Right.
She was pounding the pavement. I saw a lot of yard signs and ran a very close race. Obviously, 7 votes with. So I don't know where that goes with. I mean, that is razor thin, and we may be talking about. I don't know what triggers a recount or how all that works. But at this point, anyway,
You got to pay for that recount.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's
I don't know
costly.
how that works, but anyway, congratulations to 100% Latoya, Diana McFarland. Thank you for coming in here, and Latoya Holiday. Looks like they will be on the school board.
And Steve Schrader.
And Steve Schrader, as of right now, by 7 votes, has won as well. So that just again razor thin, and every vote matters, right? Right, Tony?
Should we go home?
7 votes. Right.
7 votes, man. Polinsky won by I think 1 or 2 votes.
Yeah,
her
that's
first run.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, it's interesting. We talked about the question of race a little bit. David Virgil would be the first African American
City councilman.
city council
Yes.
holder, right? So congratulations to him. And obviously Alwyn Foster and Marilyn Ruffin have been on the school board, but Latoya Holiday would join them. As we talk about a changing, growing city, and I think that's important to feel like the folks of color have a seat at the table, and there you go. So
I think it's important for the people, those seats to be filled with people that represent the community.
That's right.
I think that's the way to say it.
And I think all, both Latoya and David, but all the candidates, quite frankly, look, we talked about it. They ran on being a voice of the community and feeling like they want to listen. Russ Weed had, I think, the best sort of catchy slogan of all the candidates. If it matters to you, it matters.
Right.
Which he came up short, but that they all sort of recur. That was sort of a recurring theme with all the candidates was they wanted to hear and listen and be a voice for people on these boards and councils. So regardless of what color you are, background, or
Right.
Whether you're new to Sun Prairie, you've been in Sun Prairie a long time, that's been the sort of recurring theme, which is nice to hear.
Wow. Should we wrap this up?
I would love to go to.
Because I'm back on the air at 8 o'clock.
There you go.
Back here?
Yeah.
Talking real estate in the morning.
No, when Nona Brewster asked me to sit in with her tomorrow morning, then I have the real estate show at 11 o'clock.
There you go. Drilling down in 60 with Mononi. You can catch that in the morning.
I think it is. Is that live?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
more or
look.
less. So,
Well,
Tony, thank you so much for being here.
It's a fun process. I appreciate you having me. I appreciate the local democratic process. It's fun. It's a little bit romantic. I'm glad we got results in before we had to cut the cord. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I
Thanks
mean,
for having me on.
I don't want to toot our own horn too much, but journalism is sort of part of that romantic local election process, and that's why I want to do this. So,
And he hasn't seen
appreciate
what's
you
on
guys
the
being part
screen,
of it.
has he?
What's going on?
Well, you got your favorite show.
Oh, are you watching Paramount again? You watching Law and Order? Oh, Colbert's on. See, I'm missing Colbert by being.
See, I never catch. I'm always in bed.
I'm in bed
For
sleeping,
Colbert.
man.
We,
9:30, I'm
we
gone.
watch Colbert at the dinner table. We record the night before and
Oh, you do?
watch the next day. Yeah, absolutely, every day.
Something I want you guys to know. Andy, thank you. Linda Stelter. Thank you.
Linda.
Eric Elliott. Whitney McMahon, a friend of mine who lives down in South Carolina. She's been watching. She wanted to know who's wearing the plaid flannel.
I got this for my birthday.
All right.
My wife got this for my birthday.
I thought it looked new.
Yeah.
It looks too new. You got to break that thing and get some wrinkles in it, man.
do.
I tell
Happy
you.
birthday again.
Yeah, thanks.
To all the people that responded on Facebook, thanks to the candidates that call. Andy, you're fantastic. Thanks for letting me drive the train.
Yeah, thanks to Jeff Robbins for letting us do this. And
We had no choice. I have a key. See, come in anytime we want, and we party.
no, and thanks to all the candidates at the end of the day for
Yeah.
the service they provide to the community. And thanks to everybody who listened or watched or did that. So have a good night.
Yikes by Glendina.
Marathon.
This is Democracy Now!
So I recorded the whole thing.
Did you?
War and Peace
All
Report.
right.
I mean,
So you have a full recording of this.
Yeah, I thought about. I mean, I don't.
7
Oh,
hours.
wait, we're still on Facebook, so hang on, don't
Oh,
say
okay.
anything stupid. I have done that.